Freud at the Overlook, Kubrick's darkly hilarious take on psychoanalysis in The Shining. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is more than a horror film, it's a psychological circus where ghosts, mazes and maniacal axe-wielding dads cavort under the spotlight of the subconscious. At the heart of this eerie spectacle is Kubrick's sly use of Freudian psychology, a school of thought that insists our deepest fears and desires lurk beneath the surface, waiting to burst forth at the worst possible moments, like a party guest who shows up drunk with an axe. Freud's theories of the id ego and superego, as well as his preoccupation with repression, family dynamics, and good old-fashioned Oedipal complexes, are woven into the very fabric of The Shining. From Jack Torrance's unravelling psyche to the hotel's menacing symbolism, Kubrick channels Freud's greatest hits with a wicked sense of humour. Let's dive into the Overlook Hotel's dark corridors and decode the film's Freudian themes, one creepy elevator ride at a time. Jack Torrance, a Freudian tragedy. Jack Torrance is The Shining's poster boy for psychological breakdown, a walking Freudian case study in repressed rage, toxic masculinity, and unresolved daddy issues. His descent into madness is less about ghosts and more about his internal battle between Freud's infamous id, ego, and superego. The id unleashed. The id, Freud's repository of primal desires, finds its avatar in Jack. His suppressed frustrations, writer's block, family responsibilities, sobriety, erupt as murderous rage, egged on by the Overlook's permissive whispers. It's as if the hotel handed Jack a Freud-branded axe and said, "Let your ID run free, Jack." The ego's last stand, Jack's ego, tasked with mediating between his ID and reality, puts up a valiant but futile fight. He tries to maintain his civilized facade, but Lloyd the ghost bartender doesn't pour cocktails of reason, he pours whiskey with a splash of insanity. Superego shenanigans, Jack's superego, the moral compass, is conspicuously absent, unless you count Delbert Grady, who serves as a twisted version of Jack's conscience. Grady encourages Jack to correct his family in a way that Freud would probably describe as superego gone off the rails. The Overlook Hotel, a giant Freudian nightmare. The Overlook Hotel is more than just a spooky setting. It's a Freudian playground where repression, trauma, and the subconscious take centre stage. The hotel doesn't just haunt its guests, it exposes their deepest fears and desires, turning them into psychological train wrecks. Repressed memories as ghosts. The Overlook's ghosts are more than spirits. They're manifestations of repressed memories and unresolved guilt. Jack's encounter with the naked woman in room 237 screams of Freudian repression and desire, with a bonus layer of existential horror. The hedge maze as the subconscious. The Overlook's hedge maze is a visual representation of the subconscious, a labyrinth of fears and desires that traps its victims. Danny navigates it like a pro, while Jack flails helplessly, a man lost in his own psyche. The hotel as the uncanny, Freud's concept of the uncanny, something familiar made deeply unsettling, is embodied in the Overlook. Everything in the hotel feels off. The impossible geometry, the ghostly partygoers, the rivers of blood pouring from the elevators. It's Freud's worst fever dream, and Kubrick invites us to revel in it. Family dynamics, a Freudian funhouse. Freud famously said that family is the crucible of psychological trauma, and the Torrance family is no exception. Kubrick uses their dysfunctional dynamics to explore themes of repression, projection, and the ever-awkward Oedipal complex. Danny and the Oedipal complex. Freud would have a field day with Danny's relationship with his parents. Jack's hostility toward Danny and Wendy hints at a subconscious rivalry for dominance, while Danny's psychic connection to his father reflects the blurred lines between love and fear in their relationship. Wendy as the repressive force. Wendy embodies the superego's suppressive role, constantly trying to maintain order and protect Danny from Jack's escalating aggression. Her increasingly desperate attempts to correct Jack mirror Freud's notion of the family as both a source of support and a hotbed of repression. Jack's daddy issues, Jack's own relationship with his father, is hinted at through his interactions with Danny and the Overlook's ghosts. His rage and insecurity are classic symptoms of unresolved paternal trauma, amplified by the hotel's eerie ability to drag out his darkest impulses. Room 237, Freud's boudoir of horrors. Room 237 is where Freudian psychology gets weird, as if it wasn't already. Jack's encounter with the beautiful woman who transforms into a decaying corpse is a masterclass in repressed desire and the uncanny. Desire meets decay. The woman in room 237 embodies Freud's theory that suppressed sexual desires are never far from the grotesque. Jack's initial lust turns to horror as the woman's true form is revealed, a chilling metaphor for the consequences of unexamined impulses. The death drive, Freud's concept of the death drive, a subconscious desire for destruction, is on full display in room 237. The room itself seems to lure Jack into self-destruction, tempting him with desire only to reveal the rot beneath. Kubrick's dark humour, Freud as a punchline. Kubrick's use of Freudian themes isn't just chilling, it's hilariously on the nose, turning psychoanalysis into a macabre joke. The Overlook doesn't just unleash its guests' repressed fears, it shoves them into their faces with darkly comedic glee. Jack's ID gets an axe. Watching Jack go from brooding writer to gleeful murderer is both terrifying and absurd. Freud's ID was never meant to wield an axe, but in Kubrick's world it gets the sharpest tool in the shed. The family is a comedy of errors. The Torrance family's breakdown is played with a touch of absurdity, from Jack's passive-aggressive rants to Wendy's wide-eyed attempts at damage control. It's as if Freud himself is watching from the wings, muttering, "Told you so." The hotel as a Freudian circus, the Overlook's surreal horrors, dancing skeletons, a man in a bear suit, rivers of blood, turn Freud's theories into a twisted carnival. It's both terrifying and oddly hilarious, a spectacle of repressed desires run amok. Conclusion: Freud, Kubrick, and the Overlook's psychological slapstick. In The Shining, Stanley Kubrick turns Freud's theories into a chillingly funny exploration of the human psyche. From Jack's ID-driven rampage to the Overlook's uncanny horrors, the film serves as a darkly comedic reminder that repression, trauma, and family dynamics are fertile ground for both terror and hilarity. So, the next time you watch The Shining, remember, it's not just a horror film, it's a Freudian comedy of errors, where the subconscious plays tricks, the ID runs wild, and even the ghosts need therapy. Freud would be horrified, and maybe just a little amused,